Hello and welcome back. We are yet again reading codexes. I'm hoping this will be the last video. If not, there will be one more video. Um, but I'll try to break it up and maybe put a video in between these codex ones. Because I know codexes probably aren't as entertaining for some people, especially if you've played the games before. But I do want to try to struggle my way through them. So let's continue on. Harvallen, the occupied North. In the 30th year of the Steel Age, the first Quinari ships were sighted off the coast of Harvallen in the far north, marking the beginning of a new age of warfare. History calls this the First Quinari War, but it was mostly a one-sided bloodbath, with the Quinari advancing far into the mainland. Quinari warriors in glinting steel armor carved through armies with ease. Their cannons, the like of which our ancestors had never seen, reduced city walls to rubble in the matter of seconds. Stories of Quinari occupation vary greatly. It is said they dismantled families and set captives to learning camps for indoctrination into their religion. Those who refused to cooperate disappeared into mines or construction camps. For every tale of suffering, however, there is another of enlightenment, deriving from something called the Ku. That this is either a philosophical code or a written text that governs all aspects of Quinari life, perhaps both. One converted Halran reported pity for those who refused to embrace the Kun, as if the consequences had led him to a sort of self-discovery. For all my life I followed the Maker wherever his path led me, he wrote. But in the Kun, I had found the means to travel my own path. It has been said that the most complete way to wipe out a people is not with blades, but with books. Thankfully, a world that had repelled four blights would not easily blow to a foreign aggressor, and so the exalted marches began. The greatest advance in the Chantry-led forces was the Circle of Magi. For all their technology, the Quinari appeared to harbor great hatred for magic. Faced with cannons, the Chantry responded with lightning and balls of fire. The Quinari armies lacked the sheer numbers of humanity, so many were slain at the Manar's Hell on both sides, that the veil is said to be permanently sundered, the ruins still plagued by the restless corpses. But each year the Chantry pushes forward and further into the Quinari lines, although local to the Quinn provided difficult to return to Andraste's teaching. By the end of the Stone Age, the Quinari were truly pushed back. Ravane was the only human land that retained the Quinari religion after being freed, and its ruler attempted to barter a peace. Most human lands signed the Lomerny Accord, except the Tevinter Imperium. It is a shaky peace that has lasted to this day. From the Exalted Marches and examination of the Chantry warfare by Sister Petrini, Chantry scholar. Valhanda, the tree of the people. Mostly, the old ways are gone. Each generation forgets a little more of the old tongue, a little more of the traditions, and a few things we keep become simple habits. The meaning long since faded. So, it is with the Valdurahal, the tree of people. Every alienage has one, I'm told. Or they used to. When I was a little girl, my mother told me the tree was a symbol of Arlaven, but not even she knew more. Keeping the Valorhan is just a habit now. Many cities have let theirs wither and die, then chop them up for firewood. No great loss. Serathan Hanarin of the High Ever Alienage. Queen Nora. We have been given the gift of freedom by our forbearance. Let us not squander it. The only child of the war hero Logain Mactyr, Honora has become one to stay quietly in the background. It is common knowledge that in the 5 years Honora and Callan held the throne together, she was the one wielding the power. She is held in much higher esteem than her husband by the people of Ferelden, nobility and commoners alike, and commands the respect even of foreign nations. Having once inspired Empress Cylin of Orlais to declare Honora of Ferelden is a sorcery rose among brimbles. She sent her maid Arlen to Earl Emmond's estate to ask for Katie Jane's help in escaping from Earl Hal. But as they fled Hal's estate, Honora is in disguise. They were ambushed by their Sura Calitharin, there to arrest Hal's murderer. A fight ensued, and Honora fled in the confusion. She made her way to Emmond's Durarim estate and there offered her aid, defeating her father at the Landsmeet. Belen Adukin. This is a time for action, not cultured debate. Third of King Endarin's children, Behelen has always been considered the last and least of his family. Not the heir, nor the favorite, and not as accomplished as either sibling. Behelen's most notable trait was his ability to stay out of trouble. His efforts were for nothing, though. The assembly named Pearl Hauermont king of Ozmar, and the coup he tried to stage in revenge was cut down almost before it began. Earl Emin Grurin. Nobility does not exist without obligation. We owe all we have, even our lives, to our land and our people. As the maternal uncle of King Callan, Earl Emmon is one of the king's most trusted advisors. Redcliffe, while not a large or especially wealthy part of Ferelden, is a critical strategic location. The fortress guards the western pass that leads to Orlais, as well as the major trade route with Ozmar. A well-respected man, though not the most charismatic, King Callan once said of him, "My uncle Emmon is a man everyone thinks well of, when they remember to think of him at all." When he fell ill with a mysterious condition that even magic could not treat, it was no common ailment. Emmon was poisoned by a blood mage, Jawan, who claimed to be working for Terran Logain. The Earl's life was saved only by the most extraordinary measures, finding the urn of sacred ashes, the remains of Andraste herself. His health restored, Emmon called a Landsmeet with the goal of wresting power from Logain and placing Alistair on the throne. But we're probably not going to let that happen, right? I don't know. There's only like 2 of us gold wardens. There's only like 2 of us Grey Wardens, so I feel like if we let Alistair go, we're kind of screwed. Flemeth. She was slain at Morrigan's behest, at least apparently. Well, that's not like suspicious, right? So she's not dead, maybe? I didn't think she would be, but what does that mean? Is she gonna come back and kill us? The dragon's not dead. Lord Pyrrol Haramont. No one is born with the right to the throne. The sitting king may recommend a successor, but the assembly ultimately decides who will rule. House Haramont is one of the oldest noble houses, as old as Ozmar itself. Erldorin's most trusted advisor, Haramont, is well known for being an able administrator and the author of many compromises in the ever-wearing assembly. His promise to King Erden to keep Behelen off the throne was upheld by the intervention of one of the Paragons and the Grey Warden, Katie Jane. Haramont was named king by the assembly, ending the internal strife in Ozamar. Earl Redon Howell. It appears it will be civil war after all, despite the Darkspawn. Pity. The Arling of Amathrin winds along the Serenius northeastern coast of Ferelden. The Waking Sea is known for its temper, and the storms that sweep in from the warmer northern waters are sudden and brutal. Those are the lands of Redon Howell. He was born during the occupation and, like many of the nobles at the time, joined Prince Merrick's rebels. He fought alongside Royce Coltland, future tyrant of Highever, and Leon's Bryland, future Earl of South Reach, at the bloody Battle of White River. It was the most catastrophic defeat of the entire occupation, from which only 15 rebel soldiers escaped alive. Although he was decorated for valor by King Merrick, Hal's abrasive manner has earned him almost universal dislike amongst his peers. Hal died at the hands of Katie Jane in Durham. Does that mean there was an option not to kill him? I mean, I would have killed him either way, but... Orgrin? I'm not saying I should be your first pick for a dance partner at the inaugural ball, but in the Deep Roads, I'm your man. Orgrin of House Condrat was once a promising member of the warrior caste. His house was not especially high ranked, but many of its members, Orgrin included, had won notable victories in the provings and were considered to be rising in prestige. When a Smith caste family with plenty of money but no political connections offered their daughter in marriage, his family accepted the match, and then everything changed. His wife Brianka was named a paragon for her achievements. All of the House Condorat joined her newly made noble house Baranka, and vanished with her into the Deep Roads. As time passed and it became more and more clear that Orgrin had been abandoned, he became the butt of jokes throughout Ozamar. He took to drink, which didn't especially help. Drunk and humiliated, he challenged another warrior to the proving over an insult and killed him. The match was meant to be fought to first blood. As a punishment, he was stripped of his house and barred from bearing arms, the only fate worse for a warrior than exile. The warden, Katie Jane, mounted a search for Brianka and found her, and the Anvil of the Void, for which she led her house to their deaths. Orgrin enjoys challenging his palate with alcohol and an ever-increasing relatively potency and outright lethality. This has afforded him no benefit whatsoever. Chow, what can I say? I have a heart of stone. The Golem of Ozamar once made up the vanguard of the Dwarven army, holding back the tides of darkspawn that flooded the Deep Roads. But the art of making them was lost, and many of them succumbed to wearing damage in battle. Shal has no memories either of time spent fighting in the Deep Roads or coming to Honorth, only a few spotty and bitter recollections of its last master. Katie Jane unearthed Shal's control rod and awakened it, adding a bitter, malfunctioning golem to the menagerie of companies. 300 years earlier, she had been Shala of House Kadash, warrior of the King of Valter, and a volunteer who chose to dedicate her life for all time to defend Ozamar. Valdrin, remember that our strength lies in commitment to tradition and each other. Every alienage has a Henderin, an elder. It falls to the Henderin to arrange marriages for those without families, to negotiate with the guards when there's trouble, and to act as a sort of mayor and surrogate uncle to the people of the alienage. The title, like so many things, is a holdover from the time of Arthrin. For Haldren are not necessarily the oldest person in the community, or even all that old. Tradition gives the role to the oldest soul, the wisest, cleverest, and the most level-headed. Baldurin has been Halharin of Durham alienage since he was in his 30s. That was so hard to read. Zatharin Arthrine. I intend to see this through to the end with you. After all, someone must take responsibility for preventing your untimely death. Zervan was the crow contracted by Logain to assassinate Alistair and Katie Jane. One failed attempt later, however, he found himself at the mercy of his would-be victims. They showed him unexpected mercy, and in return he swore to aid the Wardens on their quest to end the Blight. Zeran shows an affinity for the finer things in life, hardly surprising for an Antivan crow, but his appreciation can be more poetic than he lets on. A simple bar of refined silver or gold, uncomplicated by a craftsman hammer, is elegantly valuable. Violet of Oslate. The wind that stirs their shallow graves carries their song across the sands. Heed our words, hear our cries, the grey are sworn, in peace we lie. Heed our words, heed our cry, our names recalled, we cannot die. When darkness comes and swallows light, heed our words, and we shall rise. From the Ballad of Islate, said to have been written after the Battle of Islate, which ended in the Fourth Blight, 520 Exalted. Mediation and Odes to Bees. O fair damsel of the garden, Arzel of honeysuckle and rose, I humbly beg your gracious pardon for the offense that here arose. Surely your work is far too vile to be interpreted by one like me. I am in no way entitled to earn the notice of a honey bee. I was a fool to pluck that flower for my lady fair. Oh, my honor, I swear I bring you dozens more within the hour, if you give me leave to try. Listen, traveler, if you would walk the garden's path some spring, mind that you don't trespass, for the gardeners do sting. Anonymous. I'm going to leave this episode off here. There's still a lot to read. The next one will be the last of catching up for the codexes, and I hope you guys are enjoying. Hopefully the next one won't be too long, but I don't want to make this one too long of a video. So I see you guys next time. Bye-bye.